Okay, so alright, so let's start our lecture class. Okay, good day. So I'll be your instructor for construction management. So the first week class, so we're going to discuss about what project management is, the discipline and the profession. So I hope that you listen well because I'm taking some of the lectures from my graduate school alma mater for my postgrad studies, which is the University of Liverpool. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you first what is project management and its profession. So let's go first the importance of a historical context. So according to Walker and Dart, uh, the article provides an extensive discussion of the historical evolution of the project management profession. So the authors trace the development of project management practices from the Romans to contemporary applications of the changes over the last 2,000 years. So later in this module, we will be addressing the future trends, but for this week, it's important to gain some insight as to what has influenced current practice. So if you remember your lecture class in history, I think it was the Romans who first did quite impressive civil works across Europe. So they built a lot of roads, they built aqueducts to supply water. So I think they have a good plumbing system also for their cities. Undertaking such as that, it requires that you have. So it's only logical if you look at history that maybe it began with them. Okay. But if you think about it, I think even the construction of the pyramids require a lot of planning. Okay. So hence, uh, so what is a project? So first, from the PM book or the Project Management of Knowledge and the PMI. So one of the professional associations for project managers is the Project Management Institute. So in their project manage or the PM book guide, they define a project as a temporary endeavor or undertaking to create a unique product, service, or result. So what's the meaning of this? So when you construct buildings, structures, it has a time limit. If you observe construction of houses, for example, residential buildings here in the Philippines, probably it would take around 6, 8 months, or even a year, depending on complexity and size. So it's only a temporary endeavor. What you have to um, manage it well, because you're not only dealing with the owner, you're dealing with a lot of materials, you're dealing with you're dealing with different personalities in the site. Class that when you are into construction, that you're not only dealing with machineries, you're dealing with people. So you must have a thorough understanding okay, to manage your projects well. So the implications of this definition are that a project has a definite starting point, of course, it has to start somewhere, a specific ending point, that the outcome is unique. Okay? So in other words, a project is not some repetitive uh, activity that chumps out the same item. So it is also true in you construct buildings. It is a unique undertaking because each and every building you construct has different parameters, especially if it is situated in a different terrain, a different place or context, even if it looks the same. Okay? There will always be differences of the type of soil and particular location, the type of vistas, its accessibility, and so on and so forth. So, as in manufacturing or operation which clerks process insurance claims, so it is not repetitive. Rather, a project is a one-time job, and even if you were to build the same home design many times in an area, each house could be a project because the terrain for each one is slightly different from others. So the weather will be different, and even the work team will most likely vary somewhat. So they are the same in design, but not in project execution. Okay, so always remember that. So what is project management? So the project management body of knowledge guide defines project management as the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So the guide states that project management is accomplished through the application and integration of the five processes. First is initiating. So in the case of architecture, so I think this is where you with the client. Okay? You visit the site, um, you do some feasibility studies, and other things. Then you have planning. So in architecture, this could mean that the time that the space we're in, you're already developing your concepts. Executing, which is okay, monitoring and controlling. So I think this part is when you are looking at already during its execution. Okay? For example, you're controlling the materials, the progress for each week, making sure that activities on site are met as planned. Okay? Then also, when you are constructing your houses or buildings, make sure that um, you finish it on time, then you do not exceed the client's budget. And of course, closing, I think this is during the project turnover in terms of buildings. So each of these process groups will be explored in more depth in subsequent modules. So we won't be all the modules, I'll be watering it down to fit the context of uh, your studies as undergrad students. So although the project management body of knowledge definitions are valid and useful for understanding the profession, they really don't capture the essence of project management. So Meredith and Mantel describe the diverse project practices and give you a much of current projects and life cycles they generally follow. So in chapter 1, the authors explain the three primary forces behind the growth of project management. So these are class. The first is the growing demand for complex, customized goods and services. Two, exponential expansion of human knowledge. And three, the global production consumption environment. Okay. Then let's look into the three project objectives, which is the triple constraint. So, what is involved in undertaking the creation of a unique product, service, or result? So, these project objects are often referred as the project triple scope, which is what is the limitation that you're going to set for the project scope. So, in terms of architecture or building design, let's talk about, for example, you're going to build a four-story building. So the scope is it should be in four stories. Then another scope is what's the size. Okay. Then another thing for scope, I think would be um, the requirements by the client. Cost, of course, it refers to how much financial resources it's going to take to build your structure, and then schedule how long you're going. What is the scope of the work that must be done? What are the desired approved budgeted costs? What is the schedule for the project? How quickly does the work need to be completed? So these objectives are analyzed in much more detail in your required readings from the Meredith and Mantle text. So understanding the interdependence among scope, cost, and schedule is key to defining the requirements for the project and reaching a consensus among the stakeholders as to how success will be measured. So later on, class, as we go through this semester, we're going to look into the things that define the success or failure of a project. So, project managers are often in the position of explaining the interdependence, scope, cost, and schedule to the project stakeholders. So, this can be done by helping the stakeholders understand that generally two of the three objectives which can be set if there is flexibility in the third. So, for example, if the budget is fixed, that scope is also fixed, then the schedule will need to be adjusted. Likewise, if the scope and schedule are fixed, then the budget will need to be flexible to allow the hiring of additional resources to deliver the scope according to the required schedule. Let's look into the project manager's responsibilities. So, in addition to this emphasis on scope, schedule, and cost, the major focus of most project managers is on people. So, like what I've said earlier, class, when you are into construction, you're not only dealing with machineries and materials, you're managing people. Okay? Then they have different personalities. Imagine, class, if you're working in an environment, in a multiracial environment wherein each and every person working on a project have different traditions, beliefs, and personalities. Okay, so it's going to be hard to manage them. Okay? So that's why if you want a manager, you need to understand people in order for your project to be successful. So it could even be argued that project management is the art of getting the tasks that achieve the intended results for the project stakeholders. So this means that project managers must create a shared understanding of what needs to be done to lead people, to influence them, and to handle disagreements, conflicts, lack of motivation, and all of the other nuances of human behavior. Okay? So in chapter 3 of the Meredith and Mantle text, the authors discuss the difference between functional managers and project managers, including the specific roles and responsibilities that successful project managers must embrace. So the authors emphasize that not only is communication considered a specific knowledge area in the management body of knowledge, but communication skills, especially listening and persuading, are the most important skills in successfully managing projects. So that is why going to lead projects as project managers or the principal architect, you must learn the art of diplomacy, okay? To settle things in a manner in which um, the project will not be compromised, but those involved in the those involved in the process of doing the project will also get um, what they are looking for, what they want. Okay, so you must say the stakeholders, the members of your team, most especially the client. Okay? So these are skills that you need to learn, okay? Because you're dealing with human beings. Okay, so chapter 3 also includes a comprehensive discussion on the attributes of effective project managers. So after reviewing these attributes, ask yourself, where is your greatest opportunities for professional growth? because you must know yourself well, class, in order to be a good leader. So you must know your strengths, your weaknesses, and how you could develop them. Okay. So the next is beyond a single project, how project portfolio management contributes to the organization. So if you examine what is done in organizations, you will find that a large percentage of all activities conform to the definition of projects described above. However, you may also find that the organization has no formal project management methodology that is applied to that work. And for that reason, among others, desired results are often not achieved because organizations usually have many projects that need to be undertaken. They should carefully establish a priority order for accomplishing them. So no organization has unlimited resources and therefore projects simultaneously. So if you have your own firm class in the future, you must understand also that I think yeah, you must also understand that you have limited resources. So what you should do is find a way to maximize these resources in order to deliver what needs to be delivered to the client. So senior managers will tell you that it all has to be done. That may be true, but it isn't possible to do all of them at the same time if you have limited resources. Okay. So you should remember the interdependencies among the triple constraints of scope, budget, and schedule, which was described earlier. For that reason, a portfolio of projects should exist with all of the projects evaluated and ranked based on their contribution to the strategic value and goals of the organization. So we'll explore the dimensions of portfolio management later in this module and throughout the program. Okay, but I'm going to this class because we are only one semester. Then probably I'm going to water it down to the undergrad level, of course. But what I want to teach class in our construction management course is the importance of understanding people, which is which is quite relevant if you are going to manage construction projects. Okay? And later in our this semester, we'll also discuss a bit on how to do scheduling, work breakdown structures, etc. But I think some of these things, which could be done by through automated means, because we're already in the new century, we're going to skip those and only concentrate a little. So what we will focus more class is how you can control effectively your construction projects in the future so that when you finish this course and this subject, you'll be more confident when you are already handling projects by yourselves already in the near future. So this is our lecture for this week. I'm going to post activities in our USTEP and also our Facebook group. So if you have any further questions or clarifications, feel free to contact me anytime. And I hope that you stay safe and I hope that you're still motivated to continue your studies in architecture. Okay, so see you next week.